everybody? It's Geo here with my homie Marcus.
What's up?
How you doing, bro? How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Yeah. This is your first tattoo altogether, right?
Yep, all together.
One whole sleeve. We did one session so far. Let me show y'all what we're doing today. This is what we got done so far. Right there. Going on up. Almost like the Michelangelo where the flower leaves touching, you know? We're gonna do all that right there. And we're gonna give y'all a time lapse while we're doing it. And if there's any good convo while it happens, I'll be sure to, so y'all can hear the convo. But if it's just like we just chilling getting it done, then we're gonna keep it time lapsing. But either way, we'll give you a shot when it's done. So yeah, you ready, bro?
I'm ready.
Now let's go in doubt. Let's go.
Yeah. Right. Here we go. Get a little A&D on the skin so we can slide and glide, baby. Alright, we're off. And this song right here is brought to you in full by yours truly, Geo Da Vinci. Is Get It Right. Find it on all major platforms. I also have a video for it on my other channel, Smoked In. Go ahead and subscribe to that as well, please. So what we're doing right now, focusing on today, is lines. What we're using right at the moment is a 7-liner. What I would first like to talk about, and you'll hear me talk about more later in the video, is staying perpendicular to the skin. That is so important in my opinion, because when you go at an angle, you risk blowouts, and that's never good at all. So what I'm doing here is I'm making sure I'm staying perpendicular, and I'm always looking where I'm going at the same time as looking where I'm at. So that's pretty important. Let me say that again. You're going to be using your peripherals the whole time. Keep your eyes wide open and don't miss a beat, because when you look where you're at, sometimes you could get caught up too much where you're at and hyper focus on one little spot. But if you're looking at the whole big picture, then you know exactly where you need to go. And that's what you need to remember. You need to know where you're going at all times. So if you're looking at where you're at and where you're going, your hand will go exactly where you want it to go, staying perpendicular to the skin. So what I'm doing, it really is building my lines. And so that what I'm saying with that means I just start out a little softer and then build the ones bigger that I want bigger. Some people like to do one pass lines, which is fine. If you're doing like traditional work, one pass lines is where it's at. You definitely want all your line weight on traditional work to be all one line weight. All the same thickness, width of lines on traditional. That's what makes traditional traditional. But if you're doing something like I'm doing here, which is more like an illustrative, I like to do neo-traditional lines in my illustrative to where I'll put in some forced perspective, but it won't be quite neo-traditional, because of the shading that you'll see me put in there. Okay, so I'm going to go down a list of questions that I asked ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to give me 15 good questions about tattooing. So ChatGPT is my interviewer today. So I'll be asking the questions, and then I'll be answering them. First, number 1, what techniques can artists use to ensure clean and precise lines in tattooing? Well, as I said before, staying perpendicular to the skin is very important. Looking where you're going is very important. Hand speed is also very important as well. So when you're doing a softer line, you want to, of course, move your hand faster. I used to put out, more like 5 caps for black. That'd be 100% black in one, then about 16 drops in the next of black, and then 8 drops of black in the next cap, then 4 drops of black in the next cap, and then 2. That'd be 5 caps. By the way, this song here is Go Getter by Chaotic Collective. Find it on all platforms. Now, back to what I was saying about the ink caps. Having 5 ink caps out isn't really necessary. You could just put out 3 ink caps and have fewer shades of black if you just adjust your hand speed to move how you want it to. Hand speed, very important for pulling those soft lines, you got to move quick and know where you're going, definitely. And for the harder lines, you can move a little bit slower and kind of, I like to call it the Geo bounce, kind of wiggle it in to get it a little bit bolder than I want to, or fill it in nice and tight. Everybody's got their own techniques when it comes to stuff like that. But as far as stretching, that's a universal technique. Everybody has to remember to stretch. If you don't stretch the skin, it's harder to pull clean lines, especially if they have more of a fatty area. You're going to have to stretch. Your left hand should be getting tired from stretching so much in a situation like that, like if you're doing a butt cheek or something. Obviously, you're going to have to stretch more there. Okay, question number 2. How important is the choice of needle size and configuration in achieving clean lines in tattoos? I'd say it's very important. For when you're wanting to pull really bold clean lines, do a double pass of like a 5 or a 7 liner lightly. Do a very light, soft double pass if it's a real chunky line on either side of the line. That way those lines won't show up when you go to fill it in. And when you go to fill it in, use a bolder line, like if depending on how big it is, you might need to use a mag, like a 7 mag. It's more like a paintbrush, so you're painting it in. Or you can use a big, bold, round shader to fill it in, like a 9 shader. Or even go for a 11 shader if you're feeling froggy, you know. But for thinner lines, of course, you want to use a tighter needle, like a tight 5 liner, or some people like to use 3 liners. Some people even go down to single liners, but you won't catch me using a single liner at all. I might use a 3 liner if it's like, I don't know, micro realism or something. Even then, you probably won't catch me doing much micro realism either. So needle configuration is very important when you're pulling clean lines, for sure. If you don't have the proper needle to pull the line you need to pull, then you need to get more needles, or just improvise and make do with what you got, man. I've done that before.
I think I figured out what I'm going to do this one about. Building lines 101. Yeah, man. Makes sense. A lot of people need help with their line work.
All I know is this thing hurts.
It hurts?
Yeah, but I'm alright.
You done?
I'm alright.
Your soul's still in your body?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to question number 3. Are there specific types of ink that are known for producing sharp and clean lines in tattoos? Honestly, I don't think that type of ink that you use is going to affect how clean you pull your line. Now, as far as healing, yes. The type of ink you're going to use is going to affect how the lines heal in the long run. Because if you use a crappy ink, man, it could just fall all out. Or even worse, get infected, which wouldn't be good. No, you never want infections. I personally like to use world famous blackout black. That's what I use. World famous blackout black for my lines, if you want my own personal opinion. I think it heals nicely, it stays bold. It's pretty good stuff. Okay, question number 4. Can you share tips on maintaining consistent hand speed and pressure for clean line work in tattoos? Actually, factually, yes, I can. As far as the pressure aspect's concerned, if you're stretching properly, or at least got your hand near where your line's going, you'll feel it with your opposite hand that you're not tattooing with. You can feel when you're going deep enough, and you'll know. It comes a point after practicing, you'll know when the pressure is right.
Just who do you think you are? 2 different ways to pull lines, you guys. Let me slow it down for a second. One way, which I like to do, is make sure, I always say it, lock your wrist, look where you're at and where you're going, and you're going to be perpendicular to the skin at all times. So you're not only looking at where you're going at your needle, hitting your line, but you're also looking at the shape of the body, the form of the body, and which way you need to turn your hand in order to stay, what? Perpendicular to the skin. This is how I like to pull lines. I'm going to show you another technique that other people like to pull lines, but this is how I like to pull lines. Staying perpendicular to the skin. I'm using a 7-liner right now, and I'm building my lines just to show y'all how line weight works and how you build your lines as opposed to trying to pull one pass lines. See, I just took it nice and smooth. Look where I went. Look where I was going, look where I was at. And I turned my wrist, even though my wrist is locked, I'm turning from my elbow and my whole shoulder. And even my body sometimes, my head to look around my hand. That's one way. The other way some people like to pull lines is they like to kind of just brush it in, kind of like the painting. It's more like this. And you can build your lines that way too. That's fine. It's really a matter of how you're more comfortable building your lines. You can do this. I feel like this takes longer to brush it in like this. And it's not as clean in the end. Granted, if you're going for a realism look and you don't want a clean line, I guess brushing it in like that does pretty good. Oh shit. I stopped my phone. But yeah. Like I was saying, some people like to brush it in like that. If you're doing realism, that's cool, but I don't. Realism really isn't my thing, so I like to just sort of pull in a nice clean line, lock that wrist, look where you're going, and as you're building, you would go on the outside of the line you just did to make it appear that that forced perspective where it's getting wider here, kind of how I did here. This line's a little bit wider here, then it gets thin. It's wider, then it gets thin. Same down here, it's wider and it gets thin. Because this up here is the focal point of the flower. So these boulder lines being up front, it's gonna make these petals that are supposed to be coming out of this automatically forces us to perceive that they're closer. That's why it's called forced perspective. Yeah, now we'll go back to time lapsing.
Okay, question number 5. How does the stretching of the skin during the tattoo process contribute to the clarity of lines? It contributes greatly to the clarity of lines, I would say. Unless sometimes when you're trying to pull a straight line over a curved surface and you stretch the skin, it will make it look curved. So sometimes, or if you have their arm bent up to be stretched, it's going to curve the line, so it doesn't hurt every now and then to bend their arm back down, not have it stretched so much so you can get that straight line that you're trying to get. Because, like I said, stretching their arm in a certain way could stretch the straight line very curved. And if you're not going to bend it down straight so you can see which way is straight when you're pulling it, follow that curved line perfectly. You better stay on the very center of that line and keep it right where it's going, because when it goes back to straight, it's going to need to be where it's at. Otherwise, it's going to look funky, bitty bitty bop. That's an old jam. Y'all young cats don't know nothing about probably, but that's alright, So, yeah, stretching the skin is a huge deal. Now, number 6. Are there certain body areas where achieving clean lines is more challenging for tattoo artists? Very much so. Like I was saying earlier, fattier tissues, it's going to be harder to pull a clean line. Or say curvature, like in the hands. That's not a fatty tissue, that's a bony area, but still there's a lot of dips down between the knuckles. To get straight lines, it's kind of tough, so good luck with that, you know. Like, you just gotta be real careful of where you're putting straight lines at, or circles for that matter. Curved lines too, because a circle on a curved surface isn't going to look like a circle anymore. So you have to be real careful about how big you make your circles and where you put your circles. You put a circle on a forearm and it bends around too much, it's not going to look very circle, it's going to look oblong and weird. So yeah, placement can be a big deal as well of things when you're talking about clean lines. Like if somebody wants something on the throat, I'm probably going to try to talk you out of it and put it somewhere else, because the throat is a tough spot to get some clean lines too. The stretching, and the whole time like you're thinking, like in the back of your mind you're thinking like, I'm choking this person, because yes, you are choking that person a little bit. To stretch that throat, man. All right, anyway, moving on. Number 7, what role does the quality of the tattoo machine play in achieving clean and smooth lines? I would say it plays a huge role. Right now, the machine that I am using is a FK Iron XO, and it has a 4.2 stroke on it. The stroke determines how hard of a hitting machine it is. So I also have a Cheyenne Soul Nova Unlimited, which is a 3.5 stroke, which is better for pulling smooth soft lines or doing soft shading. It's not really for hitting hard, like packing shades or packing color or packing lines. It's more just for whipping it in. So if you're going for a soft line or realism, you want to use something with a shorter stroke, like a 3.5. And if you're trying to color pack or do lines, you need, in my opinion, 4.2 or 4.5 even. Now they even have new machines that are wireless. I prefer the wireless machines now, because the coil machines, I did learn how to rock with a coil when I first started tattooing, and I rocked with the coil for a long time. I claimed loyal to the coil, you know. But my hand, man, my hand would go numb, or my fingers would go numb. My wrist would start to hurt, and they're cumbersome. Yes, they pack it in very well if you're using an old school coil, but they are cumbersome. And if you're thinking about longevity like I am, I want to be tattooing when I'm 83, you know, until the wheels fall off, baby. But yeah, for pulling clean lines, you definitely at least want a 4.2 stroke on a wireless machine. But as I was saying, they have a new machine I was seeing from Mast or Dragonhawk. I think it's Mast, and you could change the stroke on it, and it's not as cheap as, say, the FK Iron is, which is like $1,200-$1,300. The Mast machine is like $250, so it's a little more affordable, and you can change the stroke on it, which is amazing. You don't have that option on a lot of these machines. You have to buy a certain machine for a certain stroke that you want. Anyhow, moving on from the machines, question number 8. How do experienced tattoo artists ensure symmetry and precision when working on complex designs? What I like to do to ensure complex symmetry is I like to do a lot of my designing on my iPad and Procreate. So what I will do is I'll turn on some tools that I need to use to get perfect symmetry. If I'm doing like a mandala piece and I want to get that perfect symmetry, it just makes it really easy and fast. And yeah, you're going to get perfect symmetry every time with that, that's for sure, for the design process. And then as far as the placement, measuring is everything. Just like in construction, I used to do construction before I did tattoos, but they tell you in construction, measure twice, cut once. And that's a fact when it comes to tattooing too. If you're going to place a tattoo that's supposed to be centered with the body, measure it twice, place it once. Shoot, measure it 5 times. And if you have to place it 5 times, place it 5 times. Hell, I've had to wipe off a stencil so many times to get it perfect. Like, let your obsessive compulsiveness take control. If you have it, just let it take control and get it right. Okay, question number 9. Are there common mistakes that artists should avoid to achieve clean lines in their tattoos? Yes. One common mistake I would say that I have heard of people doing is they'll pull their lines, and after they see it, they know there's a mistake. They'll be like, that's good enough. I'll fix it with shading. But you know what? It's not good enough, and you can't fix it all with shading. So if you just focus on getting your lines clean the first time, then you won't have to worry about trying to fix it so much. Also, another common mistake I would say is not stretching it. Another common mistake I would say is not enough confidence when pulling your line. If you're going in with a timid attitude about the line you're about to pull, or your head's not in the game, of course you're going to have a shaky line. You got to get your head in the game and be ready and know that you're going to pull a line how you want to pull it, and look where you're going. Lock your wrist. That's another common mistake that a lot of amateur artists make, is you don't lock your wrist. Lock your wrist and see how much more control you get with your lines just by locking your wrist and moving from your elbow and shoulder. Locking your wrist is a huge deal that a lot of people, I feel, don't know. If you don't know to lock your wrist, then it's going to be a lot harder to control your lines and push them where you want. So yeah, I'm surprised it took me this long to get to it. Question number 9, yeah. Are there common mistakes that artists should avoid? Yes, for certain. Always lock your wrist. Please lock your wrist. And sometimes you got to have a little bit of play in your wrist to get around a curve, and that's okay as long as you remember to relock it when you need to relock it to get that clean line. All right, now, question number 10. Can you discuss the importance of proper aftercare and preserving the clarity of tattoo lines? Yes, I would like to talk about Saniderm. Saniderm is a revolutionary product that I love so much, and they don't pay me. I'm not sponsored by them, but shout out, message. If you want to if you want to sponsor me, Saniderm, please, by all means, send me some free Saniderm. But there's also Tegaderm. I like using that. There's some off brands on Amazon that I like using. I'll put a link in the description of the brand that I use on a day-to-day. But it's basically like a second skin you put over the tattoo. I always recommend that we put the first one on, and some artists don't recommend, like they just recommend you leave that on. But I tell the client to go ahead and change it out the next day in the shower. You'll wash around the edges with antibacterial soap to help it come off, because it sticks really good. And it's going to hurt a little to pull off, but once you get it off, you're going to wash it with the same antibacterial soap. I like to use Dial, the gold soap, and make sure you wash it with your hands, not a washcloth or a loofah. Make sure your hands are clean first. Then when you get out, dab it dry with a clean towel. And then you'll put on your second piece of Saniderm, and you'll leave that second piece on for 6 more days. So that's a week in total that you'll keep it covered. After that week, you'll pretty much just wash it once a day like you normally would, and use unscented lotion. If you still have any scabbing after that and it burns or something, to use unscented lotion, then you could use Aquaphor, and that's better to use than A&D, because A&D is a petroleum-based product, which will clog up your pores more, and also not only clog up your pores, but open up your pores at the same time, which is crazy, and your ink will be leaking out more, so you'll lose more ink using A&D or Vaseline. So use Aquaphor after that if you need to, but really you shouldn't need to. After that first week completely covered like that, it should be pretty healed. But some people sometimes do have a reaction to the Saniderm, to the adhesive or to the plastic. So if you can't use it, I would say just wash it twice a day or 3 times a day if needed, and cover it if you're doing extreme work or when you go to sleep for the first few nights. And wash. It's more important to keep it clean than keep it saturated. You don't want to saturate it with stuff. You just want to put on a thin layer of Aquaphor. That would help you in the healing process if you can't use Saniderm. So on to the next one. Yeah, where were we at? We were on 10. Okay, so number 11. How does the choice of stencil placement impact the outcome of clean lines in a tattoo? Well, we already kind of touched on that. It's a huge deal. Like, you don't want to put a circle in a bad spot, and you don't want to put a straight clean line in a bad spot. Granted, it's good to challenge yourself, but at the same time, just know what looks good and where it doesn't. Use your best judgment. Ask questions of other artists around you if you have a question about something like that as well and you need input. Don't be afraid to ask. Just like I tell my kids, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to say, hey, look, I need help here. It's a big deal. All right, now number 12, we're going to move on a little faster. Number 12, are there specific exercises or practices that tattoo artists can do to improve their line work skills? You can practice. That's the biggest thing. What helped me improve my line work, honestly, with tattooing is using a Dremel. Go out and buy a Dremel or a rotary tool, like an engraving tool, and practice on glass. Granted, glass is straight and there's no curve, so you're not learning the curvature of the body, but it does teach you control of a machine, which is a big deal, going from drawing with a pencil or painting with a brush, which you have to be very elegant with. With a machine, you have to have a certain amount of control. And controlling, if you can control a Dremel and pull a clean line doing a Dremel, you'll definitely be able to pull clean lines tattooing. And the beautiful thing about tattooing on glass is, if you mess up, who cares? Break the glass, get another piece of glass, tattoo some more. People put mirrors on the side of the curb all the time. I know, because I've gotten them and then resold them after I engraved on them. So you could do that to make a little extra money on the side too. Just start engraving. Why not? Okay, number 13. What role does lighting and studio setup play in the artist's ability to execute clean lines? Play is a big deal. You definitely need good lighting, and you need to move your light closer. If it's too far away or your head's making a shadow, make sure your light is at the right angle. It's not just about how bright your light is, but it's about being at the right angle. Of course, you don't want it blinding you, and you don't want it blinding your client if you can help it, but really it's not about them. They can close their eyes or move their head, but you need the light where you need it. It's about you and your comfortability and your ergonomics. That's another thing I didn't touch about pulling clean lines, is ergonomics. Make sure you're comfortable in your positioning. You see I got my chair set backwards. It's kind of for my posture, but it's also for being ergonomic and how I want to set up and move my hand. How I'm going to be most comfortable pulling that line. Like, you don't really want to be tattooing upside down and sideways, right? That's not good for your back, and that's not good to pull a clean line. You got to be a little more comfortable than that, kind of like an easel at a perfect angle towards you or something like that, or as flat as possible up in this air, but something like that. Okay, number 14. Can you recommend any specific resources or training programs for tattoo artists looking to enhance their line work? Well, if you're in this area, I heard there's a tattoo school in Portsmouth that you can pay out the wazoo probably to learn clean lines. You can practice on grapefruits. That's a good option there. As far as training classes, I always refer to YouTube. I mean, there's so many people out here doing their thing on YouTube. You could learn just about anything you want to. So many different calibers of people with different styles and techniques that you can learn from different people. And I'm a firm believer that you can learn a little something from everybody. Even if you don't feel like they're on your level. Maybe you know something they don't, but they know something you don't too. And you can learn what they know, and they can learn what you know, and everybody can learn from each other. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to learn with each other and grow together. But, okay, so this is the last one here. Number 15. How do different skin types and tones affect the visibility and longevity of clean lines and tattoos? Well, I would say that they definitely affect how it looks. Now, skin tones, if it's a dark person, of course you want to try to make your lines as bold as possible so you can see them. You don't really want to put elegant, clean, soft, not even clean. You don't want to put soft lines on somebody who's really dark, because it's going to be hard to see that line. If they're really dark, you want to put some bold, clean lines that you can see from across the room and not have to guess. You don't want to shrink something down too much on a darker complexion. It's not going to look good when it heals. It's going to be really hard to read. Trust me, I've made that mistake on my friends. Eddie, shout out to you, bro. You know, but anyhow, yeah, so definitely make sure that you pay attention to the sizing and the boldness of the lines. You want to make sure that it's going to stand out and last, and you'll be able to read it when it's healed. It's a huge deal. And as far as skin types, of course, it's going to be hard to place a stencil. If somebody has goosebumps, it might be a little harder to pull clean lines over a lot of bumps because you might get some imperfections there. But you just got to make do with the best that you got and make it work for you and the client. And yeah, other than that, just respect the craft, you guys. You know, if you respect the technique, then you're always going to get better. That's a huge deal. Just respect the technique, respect the craft, respect everything about it, and you're going to grow. Respect yourself enough to invest in the fact that you watch my video this long shows anybody that you're willing to learn and you're willing to respect the craft and take the time to learn more, you know. And that's what it's all about, man. Just trying to learn more. That's all I'm trying to do. And I hope that's why y'all are here too. I hope y'all are here to learn and grow with me. And remember, lines can be bold and powerful, or you can make lines soft and elegant. But make sure that you give whatever the client's asking for what they want. And if you can't give them what they want, just tell them, hey, look, that's not really my style. Perhaps so and so or such and such, this person might be good at that. Don't be afraid to do that. It's not a big deal if you just say, hey, it's not my style. Maybe somebody else could do that for you. And you know, the client will probably respect you more for that in the end. The main thing about it is just always being honest with yourself and with other people. And people will always respect you more for that at the end of the day. Yeah, if you're like me and you're a line guy or a line gal, just keep staying on top of your struggle, and whatever you're struggling at, just focus on that and keep pushing through, and you're gonna make it work for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, and we're gonna let the little conversation that we got going here ensue in a minute. And I hope y'all subscribe. Definitely leave a comment if you have any tips or tricks that I left out, because I'm sure I did leave out many. And I'm sure you got some techniques that I'm not privy to that I would like to know as well. So if you have any tips or techniques for me, please shout out and let me know that. I'm always willing to learn from anybody. Anybody who's got knowledge to give, I'm willing to accept. Also subscribe to our other channels, Chaotic Collective. You know you've been listening to our tunes this whole time. That's important. Please do that. Check out the merch store, geometricsmedia.com. I'm going to put a link in the description for that as well. And yeah, man, y'all keep coming back, please, because I got more fun stuff lined up, and this is just the start of it for me and for us together as a whole at the Collective Tattoo, because we got a lot of stuff happening over there. We got a lot of artists, a lot of people to talk to. It ain't gonna be just me talking y'all to death on every episode. I promise you that. I'm gonna get some more artists on here very, very soon. But yeah, I appreciate y'all sticking around with me so long. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and hit that bell. Alright? Yo.
My nephew, it's his birthday, and he turns 10. He's allowed to airsoft now.
Oh, that's cool.
But I told him, it's not what you think it is. It looks cool on YouTube, but it kind of hurts in real life.
When's his birthday?
On the 18th. Or 19th, I'm sorry.
And my son's birthday's tomorrow. He turns 18.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I remember my 18th birthday.
Shout out to you, Gabriel. 18th birthday. That's pretty cool.
My 18th birthday was wild.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Mine, I don't think it was as much wild.
I went to 4 different clubs.
Oh yeah, I was broke back then and shit. I didn't have money. like that be going to clubs. I have no idea what I did on my 18th birthday, to be honest.
I wasn't even allowed in these clubs, but my dad, being the person that he is, got me in.
Oh, he knew some people.
Oh, he knows some people that know some people that know some people.
Yeah, that's that shit. It's always good to have that.
Yeah. There's like a group of like 10 of us. Every time we would leave one bar, go to the next one. Leave that bar, go to the next club. Then that ended up at the strip club. The last one of the night.
I would take him to a strip club, but I don't think he'd be feeling that vibe.
Yeah.
He's got a girlfriend though, so I think that's why he wouldn't want to go, because he has a girlfriend. He'd feel guilty or something. And I wouldn't want to make him feel some type of way that he feels bad for going to a strip club when he's dating her, you know?
Yeah.
I think my wife would feel some type of way too. She'd be like, "You took him where?"
Yeah, I had a girlfriend at the time too, but she was with us.
Oh yeah? See, that's a cool ass girlfriend.
Yeah. That girlfriend at the time.
Well, that was a cool girlfriend.
Yeah.
I get it.
Can I talk to Grayson right quick? Huh? No, to be able to spend the night and go airsoft, you gotta do your homework. You hear me? I know, but I'm talking about for the rest of the week. I don't want to hear no problems that you have with grandma not listening. Okay? Alright.
How old you say he is?
He's turning 10. He struggles. He kind of struggles in school, but he picked it up this year.
That's good, man. Take positive role models. Coaching them on, telling me to do it. Say, look, man, we know how smart you are, but you gotta go out there and prove it to the rest of the world, man.
Mm-hmm. See, his mom is not that one. She more yells at him than anything.
Yeah, well, that's why he's got you, man. You can speak that goodness and drop those seeds, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Drop those healthy seeds, bro. I be trying to do that with my kids all the time. Like, look, I know how smart you are. I know you're really smart. I know you're special. I know you're awesome. But you gotta prove that to the world. But at the same time, and my daughter, she has a hard time struggling with being scared people are gonna judge her if she asks for help. You know what I mean? So instead of asking for help, she'll just be quiet and kind of look lost instead of raising her hand and asking for help. You know, it's like, well, you can't do that. I know you like this. She's smart. She knows a lot of the stuff. And she'll even help other kids if they can't figure something out, and she knows that she'll want to help. But she doesn't like to admit when she's wrong, and she doesn't like to admit when she doesn't know something.
Yeah, I used to do that, and then I stopped caring what people think.
Yeah,
So
that's why I told her, I was like, just don't care. Like, if they don't like you for you, fuck them. Who cares if they judge you for not knowing something? Nobody's perfect. I was like, I gotta ask for help.
Yeah.
All of us gotta ask for help.
How do you not know? Like,
You never figure it
you're
out
supposed to
unless
learn
you ask for help.
Yeah, you're supposed to learn something.
They're there to teach you. That is their job. All you gotta do is raise your hand and ask for help, and they will help.
That's what I tried to tell my students when I was teaching.
Yeah, kids, I do feel a lot of times they don't want to raise their hand out of fear of being judged or being dumb or something.
Yeah, so
Being joked or something.
that's the problem I had. So people didn't want to be called dumb by their friends.
Yeah, and that's dumb just to think that way. Like,
Yeah.
if your friends think you're dumb for asking something you don't know, then your friends are fucking assholes, and they shouldn't be your friends. You got the wrong friends.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm like, you ain't even supposed to know this until you're taught it. And I'm teaching it to you. If you don't understand it, I have to go further into detail with it. Like, and it really came down to like long division was a hard topic for everyone in the class.
Yeah.
But it was like a couple people got it, and most of them just didn't. But none of them asked questions. So when it came time to the quiz,
Everybody failed.
90% of the class failed.
Hey, that makes you feel like a failure as a teacher, even though it ain't your fault, because they didn't ask you questions.
Yep, so we went over it again, and I told them to ask questions. They finally asked questions. Then I made them retake it. Didn't even count it. For the ones that passed, I did.
Yeah.
I think at least at 8. So I let them retake it if they got a better score. Cool, I got no one. But they retake it, and about that 90% that failed, I'd say about 80% passed. Or at least got a C or a D.
There's still that little percent that just didn't care.
Yeah, no. You're always going to have one.
Yeah, you're gonna have a little percent that doesn't care. Like that was me. I was in that percent that just did not care.
Yeah, I had this one kid. He was an athlete when he was young little football players, you know. Thinks he's gonna go to the NFL. I said you gotta go to college first.
Yeah.
I said to get into college you gotta know your math.
Right. That's true. That's the fact. So.
You know, you're gonna be stuck in JUCO like I was. I know the deal. I didn't care some of the time. I didn't have bad grades, but I didn't have good grades either.
No, I feel that. I had bad grades just because I didn't care at all. I had one teacher in middle school who started making me care though, Mr. Carver. Him and his wife, they would like give me incentives to fucking like make good grades. Like my mom would let me go play like D&D and White Wolf and shit with them like on our time off. Like they did role playing and stuff. And they had campaigns, so I'd go over there and do campaigns with them. They're really cool teachers, man. It's always nice when you find cool teachers like that who actually want to just help you do better just for the sake of seeing you do good.
I had a teacher one time. She used to always take us to Chick-fil-A. It was super against the rules for one.
Yeah.
We were this is my senior year. It's our last year, you know, we always used to just like during our study block where we had nothing to do.
Uh-huh.
We would leave, all get in her car, this is a teacher, go to Chick-fil-A and come back. This is super against the rules.
Oh yeah, how you
But-
get in the teacher's car?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely against the rules.
But we were good, we were all cool.
Nobody snitched her out, that's the main thing.
No, the administration let her.
Yeah.
She would ask permission. That's why we wouldn't really like ask any questions.
And he's like, oh, okay, sure. Go ahead. Your students are doing so good, sure.
But yeah, my senior year was a trip.
Yeah, senior year is apparently my favorite year. I never made it to senior year. I dropped out in the 9th grade. But my son seems to enjoy his senior year, and I told him he would. He thought about dropping out, and I was like, you're in your last fucking year though, man? No, you can't. And then when his mom passed too, that was another thing. I was like, no, you definitely can't. Shit. You're gonna have your mom cussing me out from that.
Yeah.
Hell no. Good beyond. She's like, fuck you, make me graduate. No.
Yeah, dropping out wasn't an option for me. I was trying to get to college. Got to college and I was like, oh shit. Do I really want to keep doing this?
Mm-hmm. That's really where I want to be.
Yeah. Those first couple of years, man, because I went to junior college. Somehow, my freshman year, I ended up homeless for like 3 weeks because they don't have housing. And I play football, so I stayed with the football team. We stayed in this like one little U-Haul.
Uh-huh.
We would stay in the back of it. And that was for 3 weeks until we found an apartment building. They gave us this 3-story apartment, huge apartment, but 20 of us stayed in there.
Oh shit.
Now it's 3 stories. The first floor is just a living room and a kitchen. Second floor is 2 bedrooms.
Uh-huh.
And the third floor is one humongous bedroom that had about 15 people in there. 12 people in bunk beds, 3 on each side.
Jeez.
Yeah, my room had 2 bunk beds, so there was 4 of us in that room, 4 in the other room, and like 5 downstairs.
Yeah.
Thank God I had the bedroom with the bathroom in it.
I know that's right.
Oh my goodness, our room was the cleanest out of all. The house was super dirty. Yeah, it was. I can't say it was a terrible living space, but we made it fun because we were trying to do all the things.
Oh yeah, that's what's important, man. At least y'all made it fun and made it the best out of it.
Yeah, this was in the middle of LA, like Los Angeles.
Yeah, you gotta be having some kind of fun.
We had a lot of it. I'm in the mansion parties. Had girls coming through that dirty apartment.
From mansion party?
Yeah, we would go to mansion parties and bring girls
Bring
home.
them back to the dirty ass apartment.
Yeah.
They'd be
Mind
cool.
you, we didn't have a car.
Yeah.
None of us had a car. They would drive us.
Y'all had it made.
Oh yeah, we had it made. We definitely had it made.
See, that's one thing I regret about not going to college. Times like that, man. Times like that.
Oh, there were some lows.
Oh, I'm sure there was some lows. I bet.
We were going to this one party, right? And I wasn't even going. I had a couple teammates going. I was because we had a game the next day, so I wasn't even gonna. I'm chilling out. They, they do their own thing. I told them not to go.
Mhm.
They went. They left, and like 30 minutes later, I get a call. Yo, Joe got stabbed. I said, what?
What?
They said, yeah, we didn't even go to the party. It was in the parking lot.
Damn.
Yeah, bro, he got stabbed 5 times and slashed in the face.
Damn. For what? Was there? What the fuck?
Argument over a parking space.
Wow.
He was trying to save the parking space for the ride because some girls had picked him up. They was trying to save the parking space for the ride.
And the dude
dude came up.
Did they catch the guy?
And they was telling him to move. No, they never caught that guy.
Oh my god.
They were telling him to move. And the dude got out the car and he acted like he was going to fight and he stabbed him. I said, that's crazy. So we all drive up to the hospital and there's one of my teammates covered in blood. I'm like, yo, what is going on? So we're all at the hospital knowing we got a game in like 8 hours.
Mhm.
Or it was a morning game. It was like 10 o'clock. And we're just like, we ended up winning that game by a lot.
Can't believe dude got stabbed.
Me either.
It's
It's
insane.
ridiculous. And my coach knew about the party. He told us before practice or I walked through and he said, don't go to this party. I said, I don't plan on going.
Mm.
I'll go to a party Saturday night after the game, like not before. Told him. Something bad happened.
Coach had a feeling, yo. Coach had a feeling.
Yeah.
Always listen to coach.
Crazy thing is, my teammate came home the next day.
Just being stabbed and shit?
Yeah.
So it must not have been so bad, right? Like,
The knife was like that big.
so he went through?
Yeah. Slashed in the face. Had stitches everywhere. He came home the next day.
I'm shocked.
I was shocked too. When he walked through there, I said, Joe? I thought he'd been in the hospital for at least a week. But they got him in and out. One of my other teammates had a court case. So he had to go back home to Florida. He never came back. Because before his court case, somebody had shot him. And he died.
Oh my god.
Yeah. There was some dark times on that.
No doubt.
Because it was one of my other teammates. It was his best friend. They grew up together, and he was still with us.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing.
Yeah, it had to be hard on him.
What? Oh my goodness.
That'd be real hard. Lose your friend like that.
Yeah. It was,
Mm.
Super
And you'd be like,
hard.
but I just saw him. He just went home. He's supposed to come right back.
he was literally supposed to come back the next day. He went home. He was supposed to be home for 2 days, and come back and play in the game.
Where did he live?
Florida. So he's taking.
Florida don't fuck around neither.
No, but it was right before the court case he had
Was it? Where did it happen? Like at his house or at
at
the
his
courthouse?
house. I was at his house. It was a drive-by. I couldn't believe it when I heard it. This is him right here. This was he died, but this is the my teammate, the one that was mad. He was distraught.
I would be too. Like, that's your friend.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fucked up. Losing anybody that you have a long-standing relationship with, like that, like friendship or partnership, whatever it may be, it's hard.
I remember after he had died, we did not lose another game after that. We started off 0-4.
Y'all just became unified after that. Huh?
Man, it was crazy. We had one game that was so crazy. We thought we was gonna lose. This fourth quarter, we're down by like 20. We came back and won by 1. We went for 2. I scored the 2-point conversion when I was supposed to throw the ball. It was a trick play.
Hell yeah.
I scored.
That's what I'm talking about. Said mine.
Yeah. I was not supposed to run that ball. But I couldn't throw it anywhere because nobody was open.
Alright, let's go for it today, man.
We got a lot done.
This time.
Good God.
check it out. Let's get in close. There we go. No, it doesn't look so pissed off. Doesn't look so angry. Oh yeah. What do you think?
I love it.
Oh yeah. Alright, so yeah, that's it for today, you guys. Fucking Marcus on his first tattoo here. Let's zoom in one more time so y'all can see. Bing. Yeah, it's coming along nicely. Coming along real nicely. You happy with the outcome so far?
Absolutely.
I say we flew through it today. What do you think?
Yes, we did.
Hell yeah. So we got about one more session. This is 2 sessions so far. We got one more session. I know y'all see the new merch right here. Make sure y'all check out the merch store. I'm going to put a link down in the description or it'll be on our page. Either way, whatever platform it is, the link will be available to you. So check the description, check the page, check all that. Go check out the store. Geometrics Media. That's with an X. Geometrics Media.com. Yeah?
That's right.
Yeah, Geometrics Media. We got more stuff coming to you real soon. Join us next time on Embark.